Hi everybody, welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. I got an email from Carolyn Kidd, subject line, 7 Comet Swarm. And you know what, I got a swarm of emails about this story, so I'm just going to go with this first one from Carolyn. She says you should check out Stephen Burns' latest video. And so I did. We were looking at this channel, I don't know, a little while ago. He had some updates about 3i Atlas, which is this strange object, which they still don't know if it's a comet or if it's a planetary body. In that video, he said that it could be a planetary body, not necessarily like an actual planet, not even a dwarf planet, I don't think, but there are these rocky bodies that fall into this class of what's called planetary bodies. And when I made that video, I thought it was interesting, just the sound of that compared to how Joseph Smith compared, or how he described the sign of the Son of Man, that the people of the world would think that it's a comet, a planet, etc. And this thing that's coming our way, it is so unusual. It has an unusual trajectory. They're assuming that it's from interstellar space based on its speed and trajectory. And there's all these different characteristics right here. I'm not going to read them right now. But on top of all of this that we've already covered, he said that there is a swarm of 7 comets that are all approaching the sun around the same time. 7. It's already interesting enough that there's a swarm. And I want to show you something super interesting. I did some of my own research. I'm not going to attempt to cover what he said because, well, he made his video, so you can go watch that. I'll put a link for it in the description box below. He's very knowledgeable about these things. But, okay, so before I show you what I researched, I just want to point out, it's really interesting that there's 7 comets right now, because 7 is a number that has shown up in President Nelson's presidency many times. And it seems that he does it intentionally, that he does things in 7s. I have a spreadsheet for it. It's called Prophets 7s. In case you're new to the channel and you're not familiar with this, I'm just going to give you a few examples. All 3 of these are from his first year as president of the church. In April, he went on a global ministry tour and he traveled to 7 countries outside of the United States, including Israel, interestingly. In his first general conference as president of the church, he announced 7 temples. And then starting with the October 2018 general conference, for 7 conferences in a row, he would bring up the Salt Lake Temple, and usually using it as like an object lesson. But there's many, many other times that he's done it. It's undeniable that he has intentionally incorporated the number 7 throughout his presidency during key times. We saw this one that had to do, well, it seems like it had to do with the purchase of the Kirtland Temple. I'm not going to explain this, but there was like this thing that he was doing on social media 7 months in a row, and it ended in March, the month that the Kirtland Temple was transferred to the church. Okay, so first, I'm going to show you, we're on theskylive.com, and they have this online model of the solar system, and you can see the 7 comets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's assuming that 3i Atlas is a comet. We still don't know exactly what it is, but it seems like the consensus among scientists is that it is a comet, but they're still uncertain. So I had seen some news recently about, I think it's this comet right here, C2025 R2 Swan. We didn't know about that comet. It just suddenly came out from behind the sun. We couldn't see it because it was on the other side of the sun, but now it's visible to Earth, or to the satellite that watches for these things. And then I think it's this one. I think it's R2 Swan that has a relatively long tail. I can't remember what they said. I think they said it's like the length of 5 Earths long, essentially. So that's kind of interesting. People were pointing that out, that that's a little bit unusual. But so you have these 7 comets that are headed toward the sun at the same time. And I wanted to know, well, how uncommon is that? You know, I didn't see any newspapers, like online papers talking about it, like space.com or Live Science or anybody like that. Just from here, from his YouTube channel. And he does seem to be a credible person. He's a geophysicist. So what I did is we're on another tab. I wish you could do more with this website. Maybe they'll add more features over time, but I wanted to see all comets that they're tracking. Okay. Because when you go down here to the search icon, you basically have to search for objects one at a time. And then, like, say, this is what I did. I just typed in comet, and then I went through this entire list one by one, adding all these comets. And I'm sure that probably captured all the comets that they have, that they're tracking on this website. But okay, so what we're going to do is, starting from January 1st of the year 2000, I want to go from then until the end of 2025 and show you what's normal when it comes to comets. Again, I may not have all the comets here, but I think it's enough for our purposes. And let me point out some of these lines here. So the purple lines are the comets, and it's their orbit around the sun, or in the case of 3i Atlas, its trajectory through the solar system. And I want to pay special attention to this blue line, this blue circle around the sun. This is Earth's orbit. And so the parameters for this exercise that we're going to do is we're going to look at Earth's orbit and how many times comets come within Earth's orbit as we look at the solar system from the top down. Okay. I have it set to where every second will equal a month as I push play. And I'm going to stop anytime we see a comet inside Earth's orbit. Okay, sorry, I had to refresh the page. I guess it was open for too long and one of the comets wasn't moving, so I knew that something was wrong. So in the Earth's orbit has turned to red, and that's actually better because now we can see it easier. So starting off January 1st of the year 2000, there is one comet within Earth's orbit, 161P Hartley IRAS. So let me go ahead and push play, and we'll just see what's normal, because this year, over the next few months, something very, well, from what I can tell here, something very unusual is going to happen. Okay, there's another one right here. This is 169P Neat. So we have that. And then Hartley. This is June of 2001. Okay, let's continue. It's interesting because right before it leaves Earth's orbit, you have August of 2001. And we all know what happened that next month. I'm not saying that this was necessarily a sign, but it is something that coincided. And there's a few of those kind of moments as we, move forward in this exercise. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, let's continue. We got this one right here. This is October 2001. This is 185P Petriu. I don't know how it's pronounced. Okay. There's one up there, Finlay. And this is December 2001. I'm not going to read the number of the comet. I'm just going to read the name if it has one. Okay, so 2002, not a whole lot is going on right here. Kind of interesting that you have all those comets in the year 2000 and 2001. Here's one. This one is Christensen, March 2003. Let's continue. All right, not a whole lot now. 2004. There's one. just barely inside the orbit. This one, I think I should say the number because there's other linears. 209p linear. Okay, let's continue. There's one. It doesn't quite make it into Earth's orbit. We're in 2005. Just 20 more years to go. Ooh, there's one going pretty quick. That's Hartley, August 2005. Here's another one. NEAT is the name. It's probably an acronym for something. NEAT. 2006. Just wait till we get to like August, September of this year. Okay, there's Petru, or however it's pronounced. This is February 2007. And you have to do this. I know that this is not the most scientific way to do this, but this is the only tool that I have at my disposal. And I think it does at least give us an idea of what's normal. There's Finlay again. So obviously some of these comets have larger orbits than other ones. There's Christensen, November 2008. And then 209p linear in 2009. And then Iris, I'm just going to call it Iris, August 2009. Let's see, there's NEAT again, 2009. But you'll notice that at any given time, you don't really have more than just like 2, maybe 3 comets inside Earth's orbit. So you'll want to take note of that. Now we're in 2011. I want to point out too, President Hinckley passed away in 2008. And so at this point, we're now in President Monson's presidency. And we've talked many times about how, at least visibly or on the surface, it didn't feel like there was a whole lot going on, like as far as like just groundbreaking things in the church during his presidency. Although, just because we don't see it doesn't mean that it wasn't during his presidency that a lot of things were being planned, and then they show up later in President Nelson's presidency. But okay, here's one. This is August of 2012. 2012 was an important year for the church. That was the year of the Mormon moment, where you had the Book of Mormon play, you had the Meet the Mormons campaign, and Mitt Romney and other stuff. So that's kind of interesting. You have a comet that shows up that year. Okay, 2014, February. There's NEAT. There's Linear, May of 2014. There's Christensen, June, July of 2014. There's Finley, December 2014. So that year, 2014, from begin to finish, it saw a relatively large number of comets. 2016, that one doesn't quite make it, but it kind of got close. 2017. Okay, so now this is President Monson's last year as president of the church. But nothing except for right there. And interestingly, let me back up a few days here. Let's go to the 14th. So, not that this is exact per se, but President Nelson became president of the church on January 14th, 2018. And at that approximate time, pretty close, you have one of these comets that crosses into Earth's orbit of the sun. It's Petru or Petru. So that's kind of interesting, the timing of that. There's another one. There's NEAT, and it enters the orbit pretty much March, April. That was an important time because that was President Nelson's first general conference as president of the church. Okay. What else is going to happen? It's relatively quiet again. There's linear, June of 2019. And now we're in 2020. And there's another comet within Earth's orbit. And this is, let's see, let's go back a little bit. It basically enters Earth's orbit, excuse me, at the end of February 2020 and at the beginning of March. And that was an important time in the church because that's when the pandemic started to enter into the United States. That's when you had the earthquake that caused the angel Moroni of the Salt Lake Temple to drop his trumpet. That's a whole video unto itself. And just 2 days after that is when missionaries were called home. And I think 2 more days after that, if I'm not mistaken, that's when all temples worldwide were closed. So that was a huge deal. Okay, continuing. Then we have this one approaching very slowly. Hartley Iris. And it enters like May of 2021. And then there's Finley at around the same time, but it just kind of skims the orbit. That one got close, but not close enough. Okay, there's NEAT again, July of 2022. Now, I do feel like 2022 was an important year because in October 2022, that's when President Nelson gave his main talk of that general conference called Overcome the World and Find Rest. He referenced the sign of the Son of Man. That's when he said that we were going to see the greatest manifestations of the Savior's power the world has ever seen, and that the righteous would receive blessings and privileges and miracles from, within this like window of time between then and the second coming, and like special miracles and blessings and privileges. And then later in the talk, that's where he called on us to be the people of the second coming. So just a couple months before that, here's NEAT, here's Hartley Iris. Let's continue. And then just a couple months after that general conference, December 2022, you have 126P, 126P Iris. All right, continuing. We're almost there. We're almost to 2025. Just a little bit longer. There's Petru, July of 2023. Just a couple months later, actually, let's see, August. Okay, so it basically left, went outside Earth's orbit in August, and just a couple months later, in October, that's when, October 7th happened, and that conflict still has not come to an end. So that's kind of interesting. I'd be interested to know if any of these other comments that I've been pointing out, if they coincided with anything else that I'm just not thinking about. Okay, now look at this. So we have 12P Pons Brooks. I was really interested in this comet, and I still am. This was one that, up until 3i Atlas, this one I felt was the best candidate to be the sign of the Son of Man because it had an unusual shape. It looked like the Millennium Falcon. And then it changed shape, and it changed colors, and it was having these like explosions, which isn't necessarily unusual for comets, but the type of explosions that it was having was pretty dramatic. It was a very active comet, relatively speaking. And it shows up. So look at this, March of 2024. What happened in March of 2024? that's when the Kirtland Temple was purchased. And the next month, in April, I guess theoretically, if you were in the path of totality, you should have been able to see the comet either with the naked eye or with binoculars. I was not able to see it from the Kirtland Temple. I don't know if anybody else was able to see it, but that's what, all the news articles were talking about. So it just like shoots in and out. I think this was like one of those once in a lifetime comets. So it's not going to be back around for, hundreds of years or something like that. Okay, continuing. June, we have linear over here. Let's see. I hope I haven't missed any. I don't think I have. I'm watching very closely. Okay, now we're in 2025. Okay. So you've seen that, you might, like I said, you might have 2 or 3 comets at a time within Earth's orbit. And then you also have these periods of time where there just isn't anything for a while. So this is what has been normal, at least since the year 2000. I haven't gone back, beyond the year 2000, but I feel like this gives us a good sense of what's normal. Okay, so our first one of these 7 is this one, 161P Hartley. It's moving really slow, but it's here pretty much for the entirety of 2025. So we have that. Okay, here's August. And then here, rushing in from the side, you have R2 Swan. So this is the one that we couldn't see because it was behind the sun. But here's our second one here. Let's play it a little bit more. There's C2025 K1 Atlas, and that one's moving pretty quick. Okay, and then we have this one, C2025 A6 Lemon. So at this point, we have 4. There are 4 within Earth's orbit. This one, Swan, Hartley, K1 Atlas, and Lemon. Let's go ahead and play. And then there's another one. There's Christensen right there. So there's just like this sudden flurry of comets. There's another one. There's Weisshors. Sorry. Oh my gosh. It looks like it's a German name. That's why I'm saying the V sound. Weirschos or something like that. So you see what I mean? That is really weird. Let's go back to 2025. Let's just go ahead and play it and just watch them as they come in. Just boom, 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 boom. Right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. Now, it doesn't show 3i Atlas because that's not going to come within Earth's orbit. But simultaneously, as you have these 6, that within just a couple months of each other, they all like shoot through this area. At the same time, you also have 3i Atlas that's coming through the solar system. So it is so weird. It is so weird. So look, I did the research. I don't know that I can ascribe any meaning to it, but I can say that from the year 2000 until 2025, it is in fact unusual according to the data that they have here on this website, which I don't know if it's complete. But with what we have to work with, it is in fact unusual. And then, wait, let's go back here. Let's turn it like this. So most of these comets have orbits that are roughly, parallel to the ecliptic plane. But then you have these other ones that are just like, almost like perpendicular, like this one right here. Let's go back to 2025. I want to see, where's 3i Atlas? Where is it? There's K1 Atlas. Just 3-1 Atlas comes from like an odd angle. I think it's up there. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to go to this one. Let's see. Here, let's go ahead and play it. So here comes that. Oh, never mind. 3i Atlas is actually somewhat parallel. But you have this one up here that just like swoops down from the top. So yeah, without all the noise, let's go back. Let's pause it. Let's go back to 2024 and let's just watch it again. But let's take out all those other comments. Let's go ahead and play it. December. Oh, oops. And let me change it. Instead of 1 second equals a week, let's do 1 second equals a month. So it's the same speed. And let's play it. May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So if comets mean anything, and I pointed out some examples from the year 2000 until now, how there are some comets that seem to coincide with important events in the church and in the world. It seems like when some of them cross over that line to within Earth's orbit, there are special things that happen around that time. So that being the case, and if that's true, then what are we looking at these next couple months? That looks pretty wild. So, okay, well, that's all that I have for this one. I'll talk to you guys later.